Hello and happy Halloween to all you spooky goblins out there around the world. Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 137 of Paranormal.nl Podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Pocket Cast, and YouTube. I'm your host, Jen. For tonight's show, let's give a big shout out to the Paranormal.nl Podcast Alumni-Network Members TV show where I found tonight's guest. A big shout out to Mike Hickey and his new TV show on NTV called Terra Nova. Mike was on PNL Podcast way back in Season 1, Episode 19 in 2023 when I was just doing radio podcasts. Now we're halfway through Season 2 in 2024, and I'm doing video podcastings also on StreamYard. It's time to pull up your cozy chair and listen in to your favorite podcast. Paranormal.nl Podcast is a place where the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada, and anywhere else in the world can share their paranormal experiences. PNL Podcast also believes in supporting people, places, and things to promote paranormal tourism and paranormal networking all over the world. A big thank you again to all the PNL Podcast alumni guests from Season 1 and 2, and of course our fans. We want to hear your stories. Do you have any paranormal, metaphysical, horrific, UFO, cryptid creatures, folklore, historical books, or just tales of the weird you'd like to share as a guest in my PNL podcast? Please reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, or Gmail on paranormal.nl.podcast@gmail.com. And remember, after your episode, you'll become part of the PNL Podcast Alumni Network. Make sure you click the bell and like and subscribe and follow along whatever platform you're listening in on and get updates for new episodes. Also, head on over to Facebook and join our group, the Paranormal PNL Podcast and Bog Team Group. It's the official place to hang out in a fun and safe space and find upcoming new episodes in the featured section of the group, like tonight's guest I'm going to bring on the stage in very shortly, in a couple seconds. We have a new branch of the Paranormal Podcast with PNL Bog Team. It's a boots on ground paranormal investigation team doing local historic investigations right here in Newfoundland and Labrador. And our fans asked us, and Paranormal Podcast and the PNL Bog Team merch are now available on TeePublic with the PNL official logos designed by PNL Podcast Alumni-Network member Mr. Robert Dumont, who was on Season 1, Episode 28, with his Devil's Toy Box, a 2-part episode. We also have another PNL Podcast logos on TeePublic designed by Carl Callahan Photography, and he was on Season 2, Episode 30, and Jason Lassiter from Get That Ghost, Tennessee, from Season 2, Episode 29. You can customize your apparel with your favorite PNL Podcast logos and all kinds of merch that y'all ask for. Now, let's bring on the stage who I got tonight, coming in all the way from East Coast Newfoundland and Labrador. We have Trash Panda Events, Miss Sasha and Leslie. Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the show. So I'm going to turn off the music here so you can hear us chatting. So tell us a little bit more about Trash Panda Events.
I guess I could start.
So, first of all, happy Halloween!
Yes, happy Halloween!
Woo, spooky!
So just kicking it out, Trash Panda Events is a collective that Leslie and I have started. Essentially, our goal is to help showcase the alternative community, with that being fashion, art, our vendors, crafters, just anyone that needs a space to showcase their work. And through more so like immersive and interactive activities.
Yeah, I love your background. It's nice and Halloweeny.
Yes, the witchies.
Yeah. So they want to be part of the show.
Yep.
It's the witchy season, for sure. So tell us, when did you guys start Trash Panda?
Well, we started Trash Panda Events, I guess, the beginning of last year. We started planning. But our first major event and first kickoff was Friday the 13th last year. And we've done another one again this year. And
yeah, you did. And that's how I found y'all on Mike's Friday the 13th show with Terra Nova. You were at the Friday the 13th. You had a vendor festival, correct?
The Friday the 13th is like an interactive activity event along with a mix of vendors. So we're trying to create almost like a carnival type fall fair almost theme, but celebrating our favorite psychopath's birthday, of course, Jason.
And he was there, right?
Yeah.
Oh yes. Our birthday boy was the highlight of the night. He was going around getting pictures taken and scaring all the crowd. He was hiding in the bushes and all in the trees. I think the cops might have been called on him that night.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pull up on the stage here your link tree. So I'm gonna start clicking on some links here. We got the Fogfest Sideshow. Now this is a vendor application, but let me go to this one. This should pull up some cool pictures of the Fogfest Sideshow. Now, tell us a little bit about Fogfest. Shall I go and click on these guys and go in? And I got to give a shout out to Mr. Shane Mills, because he was on our show also in season 1. We can't talk about Fogfest without Shane, right?
Definitely not. Yeah, Shane and the guys over at GrindMind, they've put on a film festival, a horror film festival, the Fogfest Film Festival.
Yeah,
and that's actually kind of how we got in a partnership with them, and that's where the Sideshow comes in.
Yeah, we worked with last year at our Friday the 13th, we reached out to Fogfest to be a special guest, because it was just very fitting, because they are running Newfoundland Labrador's premier film festival, so they joined us to just educate our crowd and just to showcase what they're doing. And then and Leslie and I are actually we're like alternative vendors ourselves, so they invited us, Nature Scavenger on Leslie's side and Culturista Alternative Shop, to they were doing like a mini market at their film festival last year. So that's how we kind of like got to going. And then they were talking about the Trash Panda event side. And then, after that event, we just got to talking, and we said this is a very fitting partnership to work on the Sideshow together, because we all essentially have the same vision of, showcasing our alternative talent. And we wanted to create something that was a little bit more immersive, and something that, that was more live and people can interact with.
So this is what you're talking about here with the Trash Panda events and the Sideshow. There's your logo, and here's the Fogfest Sideshow. Everybody needs to check it out. It's going to be at the Well Room on 363 Duckworth Street. It looks like Saturday, November the 9th, and Sunday, November the 10th.
Yeah, it's pretty much across the road from the Majestic. It's a bit of an interesting venue. You can't really see it from the road. You can see the parking lot. So it really gives a creepy vibe to even just walk down into the venue.
So there's the Majestic there. And this first one, can you see what I have up there on the screen? Let me go back to StreamYard. And so let me go back over here. Yeah, and so there's the Majestic there in the background, which is a really cool theater. And Mike was in there with his Terra Nova, and you kind of went in there with Buddha looking around for some ghosts in there. It's a really cool place if you haven't been. And you're going to have a fire master there?
Yes, we will have a fire master there of incredible talents. I think we have her eating fire that night. Do we not?
Yep.
Yes, we do.
She's going to be eating fire that night. Okay.
So, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go. I was going to bring up the next one, the deathbed, Morgan's deathbed.
Yeah, so that's the Bed of Nails act. So that's another extreme alternative type of talent that we're going to be having at our event. We're trying to play on like the horror dark circus theme, and some of the talents it is a little pushing, but our crowd will definitely love it. So but Morgan and Susan Jarvis, the two that you just saw there, they are talented in so many different things. Morgan also does aerial arts. Susan does aerial, all sorts of different things. But for us, they're our fire master and our Morbid Morgan. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're gonna have a really cool event coming up soon, so everybody definitely check that out. And tell us a little bit more about what you personally do. I know off here we were talking a little bit about it, and I forgot to mention Shane Mills. His episode was in season 1, episode 22 with GrindMind Independent Films, and he talked a lot about horror and Fogfest and Rumorg. Of course, we can't not talk about Shane and the Newfoundland Nightmare the Hag, his miniseries, but we can get into that a little bit later. But because I did have Dale Jarvis, he came on season 1, episode
Nice.
13, yeah, and Dr. Haley Everett, she was on that, the Newfoundland Nightmare the Hag. She came on in season 1, episode 15, and talked about a lot about roadside crosses and Mun folklore. And I think I've had just about everybody on from the Mun folklore department. But tell us about you. Let's highlight you guys. Tell me more about what you do.
As Trash Panda Events, we go around. We're all about the alternative community and connecting with our people, and creating cool interactive activities and safe spaces and whatnot. So we don't just do. We're not like your everyday market. It's not just a market. So with Friday,
I like that when you mentioned safe space, because we're part of the Safe Space Alliance, and not every podcast is. And our group, our Facebook group, is also a Safe Space Alliance. So we like that you have that for your vendors and your people and visitors.
Oh yes, everybody is welcome, and that's also that's why we also have an array of interactive activities and whatnot, so that we try to speak to everybody and interact with everybody and include everybody, all walks of life. It don't matter. And just to come in and just have fun and partake. And it's also a home for those who are into like the alternative and don't normally, like from the market side, don't normally fit into every market. We've now created a home for them, but it's also a way for then the public to come in and see all these different artists and be like, oh wow, they're not just a bunch of freaks, we're a bunch of normal people who just like something a little different.
Isn't that what the paranormal is all about, though? I mean, for like-minded people getting together and talking about stuff that they like, right?
Well, that's exactly it, and that's why we use that umbrella term alternative, because we have everyone from all different subcultures, the goth metalheads. We have people who are like obsessed with ravewear. We have honestly, we even delved in the kink a little bit, with some of our vendors. And but the point was that it was about showcasing all of their work and giving people, giving the public a chance to kind of explore that and see what's on the go and what it's all about. And I know that, me personally, like when I was growing up, like I grew up in a pretty strict culture, so like I didn't get to like visually explore all of that and dress a certain way or anything. Like I was pretty normal, I guess, if you want to say. So at least when you like have a nice public event that like they got to see how friendly we are and how open we are and like accepting, and then it kind of just shows a better light to us. And they got to ask all the questions and just get to see like a whole different side of Newfoundland and Labrador that, now we're starting to see people shine a little bit more. We're seeing a lot more of our vendor buddies being in the media and doing such awesome things. And, even just like with GrindMind and the Fogfest and Mike Hickey, and it's just them just even delving into the spooky aspects of Newfoundland, like that's incredible. And we just want to push more of that and support it. Like
I'm a strong believer of paranormal tourism. I mean, have you been surprised at how many people were actually, came to your events? I mean, did you expect so many people to be there?
No, we're surprised every year.
We're really humbled by that. Like you can't even imagine the feeling it is to have all that support and love. We go into it thinking if we get a few, then we're happy, but we really work hard to try to grab the attention, just because I know our vendors and our community members and our guests and everyone are relying on just getting some eyes onto their stuff, and so we push really hard for that. And to see the hard work pay off like that, it's incredible.
I love it. Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about some of the specimens that you were talking about earlier that you do.
Oh, my dead friends.
Yes.
Oh,
Tell her a tagline. Tell her
that's me.
I play with dead things. Yes, my business is Nature Scavenger. I'm an entomology taxidermy artist, and I create art pieces, whether it be scientific or just visually pleasing, and like little nature scenes and whatnot, with bugs and anything real from nature. I dip a little bit into what I call my lizard jerky, where I mummify reptiles and amphibians. And then work them into my art and deal with a lot of bones, and I do a lot of cleaning. I do pet memorials and so on and so forth. But
what kind of pet memorials do you do?
Mostly with arachnids and reptiles and amphibians.
Okay.
And then if people you'd be surprised how many people have like pet beetles and like stick bugs and mantises and stuff like that. And because I also operate out of Ontario.
Gotcha.
And, so I do a bunch of that kind of stuff and custom pieces, and I also do like family member memorials, because a lot of people associate butterflies and dragonflies or damselflies with death and mourning. So I do a lot of pieces to memorialize, somebody who's recently passed and so on for people.
For butterflies and things like that, and
they'll give me like a little piece to put in with a frame or a terrarium or something like that, and make them a whole scene that speaks to them, to hold on to a memory and stuff like that. So any reason to play with dead bugs, I'm cool beans with.
I've had I think we were talking about Miss Elliott, who was on before. She deals with some of that. I mean, you'd be surprised with so much talent here in Newfoundland and Labrador.
And that's what we want. That's
some of your vendors. Yeah.
Exactly. That also gives us a place to shop. Like there's a few really cool stores in town, whatnot, like the Natural Emporium and the Brassy Lassie and stuff like that. And hempware. But to be able to find all the really neat underground artists and and all the community members, we have like every event that we do, we put out a number of community tables and invite people to our events, just to build that community spirit. And it also then gives us a reason to go around and like shop and spend all our money too, and get home decor and so on.
But tell us more about some of your other vendors who you had on at your place.
Well, in terms of vendors, God, there's so many incredible ones, but I guess from like some of our new ones, like we have Resin Walk, who does like such incredible jewelry and like alternative pieces and like little like trinkets like with ruins, like it has like some witch undertones, and even the safety tools they do, right?
Yeah, the safety tools, and she's also doing the earplugs now for people to stretch them. Yeah, I didn't wear mine. Don't look at the buttholes in my ear. And then like I guess myself too, like I run Culturista Alternative Shop, so and I do like a lot of like goth jewelry and accessories and so forth, but the whole point of starting that was I was just trying to make something a little bit more accessible here, and just for people to get that jewelry, because shipping kills when we're trying to order that stuff in.
Oh, for sure.
And I feel like it's the same deal with all of our vendors. Like we had Violetta's Curio Cabinet. That's a new one that does a lot of cool vintage style books that have a little bit of the macabre themes on it. I
was trying to find Culturista over here where I'm scrolling around.
I think we cover just almost every genre, because we curate. We keep our applications open for quite a while and let anybody apply, but we curate, we go through, it's not first come, first serve. We pick to make sure we have a wide variety in the room. But we have like some incredible artists. We're talking like visual artists, digital artists. I
think I mentioned Shane earlier, who was on the show, and he actually created a little logo for us. It's not part of our official logos, but it is there on TeePublic, and you can customize his merch also. And there's just such an array of vendors here in Newfoundland and Labrador that would fit in your genre. And I've had several other tarot people on. I think you'd mentioned some folks to me that like when it comes to that kind of stuff.
To us, the vendor is not only just what they sell, it's their story that really captivates us. And one of them that really resonates with me is actually Pretty Kitty Coven. They've been with us for a long time. We're really good friends with them.
Okay.
And they basically, their whole mandate and their whole mission was to make witchcraft approachable and easy for beginners. And they do like these really nice kits, and they have things that are really affordable. So people who are starting out, they can afford it, they can get it. They're just so open-minded with questions. They're
the best people to talk to.
They are, and it's just
adorable.
like anyone that wants to that has questions about the craft. Doesn't even matter about buying anything. They're always open, and you're able to have a nice chat with them. And I find that with everyone that we dealt with, we're not only interested in what they're producing, but what their story is and what their background is, and like,
their vibe, their contribution to the community. We want people that are going to work together and help support each other and lift each other up.
Exactly.
And we create a whole room of that.
Yeah. It's electric, honestly.
Yeah, and you added them to your curio cabinet at the Fogfest.
There was the first one. Yeah.
That's the start of the madness.
Yeah, you'll see many more leading up to the event.
I can imagine. Yeah, you must be going through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's their logo up there if you're looking for them. Pretty Kitty Coven. So tell us more. Do you have any weird stories or anything that you want to share, or any spooky stories that you can think of that ever happened to you? Or any weird things that happened at your events?
I think for like me personally, like I come from a Caribbean culture, so like a lot of stories in terms of magic and like you have your stereotypical like black magic, voodoo, things like that often you associate with like the Caribbean.
Right.
I've always kind of been fascinated with that and the occult, and my mom is from Guyana, so there's a lot of folklore and stories that she grew up with that I've always been interested in and that she told me about that still scare the shit out of me. Excuse my language. You could probably look at
Okay. It's all good. So tell us some of your folklore stories that you want to share any of them, or?
It's just like some of the stories, like my mom, when she was growing up, they didn't have any electricity or anything. So it was very dark at night. And there's always been like sightings. So like they always use like kerosene lamps. So right there, it just sets the mood. But one of the stories she was telling me was that there was always these people that contortion, with like that they see at the night with like sometimes their head was like twisted, and there's just like reportings of that in her town. And so where my mom is from, it's Berbice, Guyana, which is like there's more of a countryside to there. And then she was, and then like with religion and so forth. Well, like my family's Hindu, but we grew up with a lot of Muslim friends. So I don't know if you know anything about jinns. Those stories are terrifying.
I've had a gentleman on the show one time from Bangladesh, and he talked a bit about the jinn and their culture. Yeah,
so they have that. And then the last one I would say was every culture, including, so Newfoundland has their fairies. The fairy stories. We have one mischievous character called a Baku.
A Baku. Tell me about the Baku.
So that mischievous character, from my understanding, and again, I could be a little bit wrong. My dad was telling me that this character, or this I guess creature, yes, would be in a message from, when you go on the beach, they have the message in the bottle. So when you open it, you release it, and that thing would just destroy your life, basically, until you trap them back in the bottle and throw them back in the ocean. And so my lesson is, when you're in the ocean, just don't open that bottle, because you might get a Baku. So,
that's good to know, because a lot of people go beachcombing here for all kinds of different stuff, shells and so don't open any bottles. Y'all hear?
But that, I think I love that's one of the things. You know how like they always say food connects people? I feel like occult stories or folklore always connects people, and we always like, and no matter what the culture is, like you have that. So like when I was hearing about my father-in-law's experiences as a child, or like the reportings from his town about fairies, I'm just like, oh my god, this is like stuff like my dad's telling me about when he was a kid in Guyana. So if anything, paranormal things connect us. So
I love to hear about, different cultures and their stories, because and it's interesting when the folklore crosses over, or even some of the superstitions cross over.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when you find a lot of similarities in some of it, the superstitious stuff?
I'd say, yeah. I know, we grew up with things like, don't open umbrella in the house, don't walk under the ladder? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's under the ladder.
Yeah, throw salt over your shoulder, protection, that
Right.
type of thing. And we, like my culture, we're big on incense too, so incense for protection and clearing energy, things like that. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, incense is always good. I always got some of that around. So, Leslie, how about yourself? Do you have anything that you want to share about, any stories or spooky stuff or weird stuff that you had happen? Or
no spooky ghost stories growing up, but my dad always told us a story about Old Man Norval.
Okay.
So
that's so cool.
I grew up in the cornfields of Ontario, but an hour and a half outside of Toronto, and about 20 minutes, half an hour south of us, I guess we just south of Georgetown, there's a little town. It's like a little hamlet sort of deal called Norval. And Dad would tell us these stories as a little kid about, how as a child, you can't go outside if you lived in Norval.
Okay.
Old Man Norval, he lived in the forest, and he would steal the children and eat them.
And eat them?
And eat them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. So it's as a child, I was terrified to go to Norval, even drive through Norval, because I was like, man, that old man's waiting in the forest. He's going to come out, he's going to kidnap me, and I'm going to be
like Children of the Corn, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be on a roast over a fire or something like that. So there's that. I had a lot of night terrors growing up. I have a very overactive imagination. A lot of my favorite thing to watch is cheesy B-rated horror movies and stuff like that. But I suck when it comes to thrillers and jump out stuff and suspense. Again, overactive imagination. Had a lot of bad nightmares as a child, and insisted for years that a portal to hell was trying to open in my room, and that my rocking horse was possessed. It ended up having to live in the basement, and it was terrible as a child growing up.
Did you have some kind of weird experience with the rocking horse?
It would rock at night on its own. Okay. I don't know why.
Was there a window open or anything, or?
There was no windows open. I always slept with my door open, but there was no draft. It was not a drafty house. It was a new house, all that jazz.
Right.
Cat would be sleeping on my bed, no reason, but the rocking horse would rock at night. And even during the day, I could see the portal to hell start to spiral and open on my wall. And I didn't sleep a lot at night as a child.
Was your house an old house or on a different kind of land, or?
No, there was no explanation. I just tried to block it out as a child.
Right. Yeah. Just tried to.
No, I'm done with that. No, other than that, it was a lot of horror movies. I sleptwalked as a child. There was one time Mom came home at 3:00 in the morning from a shift, and she found me sitting on the couch just watching the fuzzy blank screen, but staring dead eye into it. And she just called my name, and I just looked over to her, and she's just like, okay, I'm not sleeping tonight. So apparently I scared my parents a lot.
So you had a lot of sleepwalking and stuff like that.
Sleepwalking, sleep talking. I would just stare at people in my sleep, apparently.
So your siblings or anybody like that have sleepwalking, or ever see the horse move or any other stuff like you did?
My brother and I used to sleep talk together, and we apparently had our own language when we slept talked.
Wow. Okay.
That was about it. My dad quite often through the night would yell down the hall and tell us to shut up, because we'd be full on speed talking in a different language.
Like in a Star Trek language or something.
Yeah, we have no recollection of this. We've had many family members tell us about it.
Interesting.
Really neat. Other than that, no, all my horror stories are pretty much in nature, just fighting nature. I've been covered in leeches. I've had a seagull caught in my hair. I had my hair down to my butt.
In your hair? What happened?
I was trying to take a picture of something. I didn't realize I was close to a nest.
I'm just laughing at the way you said that. That's all.
The thing came up, and my hair was down to my butt, and it was down that day. And I'm I'm 8 years old, trying to take a picture alongside of a river. And the thing came up and freaked out, was squawking and came onto me, and it landed on my head, but its feet got caught in my hair. So it was flapping. Well, sorry, I just got caught in your hair. It was flapping and trying to get away from me while trying to peck my head, and I was running. So I got lots of stories like that. I've been attacked by jellyfish.
Jellyfish. What
been
happened
chased
with the
by-
jellyfish?
I swam into a school of them down in Cuba when I was a kid. I had my
Ooh.
legs like absolutely shredded. Yeah, that was not fun.
I did
No.
not have any of that happen to me. The only thing I've ever happened was probably the hag. That's it. I used to get
That's good. We're full circle now, 360 back to the hag, back to
Yes.
GrindMind. Tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about the hag. Were you? I know you had a bit of a side show too during that, or no? I can't remember if you did another one during Fogfest.
They came and filmed. We were part of a spooktacular for Mike Hickey. He came and filmed our Friday the 13th last year.
Yeah.
And that was a lead-in. They were showcasing the hag that night.
They were showcasing the hag. But that show, like when I was watching the episode, it just felt very, very familiar. So,
do you get the hag in your culture? Have you heard of that in your culture? What do you call that?
We don't call it the maybe like not sleep paralysis. It was just like a very basic term, but basically like it's just like where you're constantly like waking up, and you're just stuck in that limbo. But I found that there's like, there's been like horror stories and just with probably could be with any cultures where like they just haven't like woken up for like hours and they were like just like late for work and stuff like that. But I found the ones with me, like it's always like this reoccurring dream where like I'm just kind of like left in this cellar and I'm trying to wake up and I'm just not getting up. And there was another one where like there's another portion, like another world on the other side of my house that it's a reoccurring one that keeps coming up that has a lot of like dark things happening there. There's like dead bodies and stuff like that. And my teeth falling out. That's a common one. The tsunami one is a common nightmare I get a lot. So
a lot of nightmares. Yeah. I guess you're giving Shane some ideas now on on another show they can do.
Yeah, the tsunami one, waking up just before. I actually do keep I started keeping a dream journal too, just to kind of document that. So if anything comes from it, maybe my cool story, movie idea, or like even just inspiration for our art or jewelry, I guess.
Right. Well, tell us a little bit more now about where people can find Trash Panda, where they can follow you. I'm going to bring up your link tree here, and you can see all the different links where you can find y'all. But you wanted to give a shout out to everybody where they can find you, how they can contact you, and about your upcoming event again.
Yeah. Well, you can find us through Facebook and Instagram right now. We're just on the socials at the moment. And or you can find us at the Fogfest Sideshow coming up.
Yes, November 10th and 9th and 10th. And then if you have any like detailed questions and stuff, like we do have Gmail as well, trashpandaevents@gmail.com. And honestly, like you'll find me and Leslie at the markets all the time. Like we're out and about. We're just supporting everybody. We're going to a variety of events. I mean, I went to the plague doctor walk yesterday. Leslie and I were at 5 different markets this past week. So if just come over and have a chat with us, like we'll just tell you about everything. And if you have a cool idea, we're down to collaborate. And that's the main thing. We're just all about collaboration and hearing what people want to do and actually execute on it, right? So
growing that community.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, paranormal folk got to stick together.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being on the show today. And I'll let you guys give a shout out to your fans. And happy Halloween to everybody. I hope everybody finds lots of spooky candy and lots of fun.
Yes, well, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much. And happy Halloween, everyone.
Yes, happy Halloween. And thanks. This was awesome. This was my first time being on a podcast.
See you at the Sideshow.
That's right. See y'all at the Sideshow. Make sure you're there.
Oh, yes.
Well, thanks again for being on. We really appreciate it having you on. And you never know, folks, you might see Trash Panda events in another country on podcasting with them. Okay. Peace out, everybody. We're going to go ahead and sign off now and just do a quick off-air chat.